This time, I would like to offer an invocation, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come here again on another day, a day that you have created for us. We thank you for the many blessings that you give us each and every day. We just ask that when we fall short of recognizing you for these many things, that you will forgive us, help us each day to rise up and do our best to be the kind of people that you would have us to do. We pray for those, Lord, who are so much less fortunate, those who have so very little but so appreciative of what they have. We just ask that you would continue to keep your hand upon us, guide us, and direct us in your way. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item is to adopt the business agenda. Everyone has had the opportunity to review it. When someone feels ready to do so, we will need a motion to approve it as it is presented, unless there are any conflicts where it may need to be amended.
I make a motion to approve the business agenda as documented.
Motion on the floor is by Councilman Bell, the second by Councilman Steinbach. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, no. The motion will be approved. I'll call on Krista Roy with the BART Committee for BART Scholarship Awards. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, citizens. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for letting us have the podium for a moment. For those of you who are not familiar with the city's Benevolence Award and Recognition Committee, or BARC for short, we are a committee made up of 6 city staff members representing each city department. I have B.J. Harris with me here as a representative for the fire department. The main purpose of the BART program is to take care of our own, and we do that through the generous contributions of our city staff. Contributions are voluntary, and you do not have to be a contributor to receive benefits from our program. We make cash benefit payments to staff members during difficult times, such as death of a family member, medical issues, out-of-town doctor's appointments, and personal hardships. We also gift city employees for the birth of a new baby. And we put on the city's Christmas luncheon. But tonight we're here for a different reason. We are here for the BARC Scholarship presentation. Each year around March or April, BARC opens up a period in which we accept applications for scholarship awards for the children of full-time staff members who are seniors in high school and are enrolling in a full-time program of study at either a 2- or 4-year college, university, or vocational technical school. Interested students fill out an application, submit it to a BARC representative by the announced deadline. It requires basic information pertaining to the student, but they are also required to submit a personal statement, a copy of their official high school transcript, 2 sealed letters of recommendation from non-family members, and a letter from a school counselor or teacher. We didn't have any applications for the last couple of years, but this year we received 2, so we are here tonight to recognize these young ladies for their hard work and dedication to their education and present them with a scholarship that will help ease the burden of doing just that. First up, we have Miss Caitlin May, or Katie as she is referred to. Katie, you can join us up here with your parents. Yeah, come on, parents. Katie is the daughter of Tina and Philip May, and Tina works in our police department. Katie is a graduate of Roanoke Rapids High School, and if you've ever been to any events hosted by the police department, then you have certainly seen her and her siblings working right alongside with their parents. I'm not going to read all the wonderful things that were submitted about her. I'm just going to touch on some of the highlights. She is smart, and her transcripts reflect that. She earned a weighted 3.67 GPA and ranked 75 out of her very large high school class. Her personal references refer to Katie as someone who is optimistic and full of energy. She shows ambition, and she has volunteered in many capacities at her church, fundraising events, Angel's Closet, and summer camp programs. I hear she's also a very talented dancer. Katie shows incredible perseverance. She sets goals for herself, and she works hard to obtain them. Her teacher stated that she is a positive role model and demonstrates exceptional leadership skills and dedication to helping others. She has worked for Rose's, 2nd Street Lunch, and John 3:16. In the fall, Katie will be attending Nash Community College to obtain her associate's degree from their culinary arts program with a career goal of becoming a chef. Katie, we are honored to present you with this Spark Scholarship in the amount of $500 to help you with your education and career goals. We're proud of you. We look forward to all the great things we know you will accomplish in the future, and if you ever need a taste tester for class projects, we're here for you, okay? Congratulations. You're welcome. Next up, we have Miss Alasia Moody. Alasia, will you and your parents please join us up here? Alasia is the daughter of Marcia Person and Timothy Moody. Marcia is employed in our Human Resources Department. Alasia is a graduate of Northampton County Early College, and her math teacher describes her as a student that he can always count on, a hard worker, diligent, thorough, well-behaved, and an independent worker and thinker. Someone that can be called upon at all times to assist others. When I opened up Alasia's transcripts, as a member of the finance department, I noticed something right off the bat. The young lady is a math whiz. She's taken many honors courses throughout her time at the early college, and we need more math-oriented people like you, so hopefully you can make your way back to Roanoke Rapids. We'll be waiting for you in the finance department, okay? Alasia earned a weighted GPA of 4.4 and was salutatorian for her senior class. Her personal references describe her as challenge-seeking and an overall well-rounded individual. She has maintained her excellent grades, all while working at Zaxby's for the last 2 years, where she was promoted to a certified trainer. She will be attending North Carolina Central University in the fall, majoring in business administration. And based on what her references have said about this young lady, I know she will consistently strive for excellence as she continues her education and chosen career path. Alasia, we are proud of you, and we congratulate you on your accomplishments and wish you well at NC Central. I know you're going to leave a lasting mark there. We present you with this scholarship in the amount of $500 to help you towards reaching your goals. Thank you.
Chief Patrick, I believe you have.
I'll go ahead and interject here. I regret to inform you, but there's been a scheduling conflict for tonight's presentation that we just became aware of, and so we'll postpone that special recognition to
Okay.
either the next meeting or soon thereafter as possible.
Okay, all right. We'll move on to public comment. We have one unscheduled public comment, Mr. Davis. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, guest, Joey Davis, Raleigh Street, Roanoke Rapids. I'll bring up something from years past. I retired from Coca-Cola, working out of Virginia. I'd come down to 95. The strangest thing I'd see at the Roanoke Rapids exit, Rocky Mount, city on the rise. I thought to myself, who would advertise another city right on the interstate, the one you're getting off at? Well, let's take a trip around the county. Littleton, you got the Lake and the Acorn Center, free concerts. Medoc Mountain State Park, Sylvan Heights. You come back around to Weldon, rockfish capital of the world. Go down here to the paper mill down here. Once you hit the bridge, welcome to Northampton County. So what does Roanoke Rapids have? Oh, I forgot the theater. Well, the theater started out Randy Pardon, then Roanoke Rapids. But Roanoke Rapids had to have that land, so they annexed that land from Weldon. Well, lo and behold, they got it. And I don't blame the people that's got the theater now. I mean, I would do it too if I was interested. But you take something other, and I'll just sum it up like this. It's sad, and the most ironic thing of the whole deal is the name of the theater is Weldon, after we took the land from Weldon to make it Roanoke Rapids Theater. So that's the ironic thing of the whole situation, and as the old song would say, they got the gold mine and the citizens of Roanoke Rapids got the shaft, and I thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Davis. We have two sets of minutes, May 29th and June the 3rd, that need to be approved, one special meeting, one regular meeting.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the May 29, 2025 special meeting and June 3rd, 2025 regular city council minutes as drafted.
Okay, the motion is by Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Do we hear a second to a motion? Second by Mr. Bryant. That's Jackson. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion will be approved. Call on the city manager to introduce us for the public hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The draft fiscal year 26 budget was presented to the council during the May 29th special meeting of the council. And then we held a regular meeting that following Tuesday, June 3rd, and scheduled the public hearing for tonight. Since then, the budget has been available in paper copies, available at City Hall for viewing, as well as posted to the city's website under the budget section. And we have advertised the public hearing on the budget as required. The public hearing notice provided the tax rate at the current rate of 641 cents per $100 of valuation, and includes the Roanoke Rapids Theater debt in the amount of $952,140, and the budget appropriation at about $19.84 million. At this time, it would be appropriate to open the public hearing and receive comments on the budget. Subject to any questions that y'all may have, what I propose is that we receive some public comments, and then we'll seek to address any responses after we've received all public input.
Okay, at this time, I would declare that the public hearing be open for those that would like to speak. We do have one individual that had signed up ahead of time, Mr. Brodsky. If you'd like to come forward, please, sir.
Good evening, council, citizens. My name is Ephraim Brodsky. I live at 936 East 7th Street, Roanoke Rapids. So, I don't love this budget. I submitted a letter to the editor talking about my issues with this budget. And my main issue with this budget is that it's way too low. And we're ignoring the fact that last year we got it wrong. Last year I came and I spoke to all of you and I said, listen, do not lower the tax rate. We need the money. And everyone insisted, no, we have enough money. We're not going to need to go into the fund balance. We're going to be revenue neutral. But that wasn't the case. We fell short. And during the last city council meeting, there was a budget amendment for over $1 million to catch up to that shortfall. Over $1 million. That is a big gap, right? If 1 cent generates $136,591, over $1 million, that's not 1 cent. That's not 2 cents. That's closer to 10 cents, right? And that's what we fell short of last year, and we dipped into the fund balance for it. Now to balance this new budget, we're dipping back into the fund balance for another $700,000, which, based on $136,000 per cent, that's looking at 5 or 6 more cents, right? But that's not going to get us out of the water either, because this budget doesn't have any growth. This budget isn't focused for the future. I presented each of you with this handout before the meeting, and I gave it to the media as well so they could publish it for everybody else interested. Basically, there's 3 parts that every budget should consist of. That's the strategic planning portion of the budget that involves long-term plans, the capital budgeting portion of the budget that involves evaluating major projects, and the operations portion of the budget that focuses on the short-term plans and comprises the operating budgets prepared by various departments. This entire budget is an operations budget. There is not one vestige of strategic planning in this budget. There is not $1 dedicated to capital budgeting in this budget. Everything is operations. And we're failing the operations portion too. We're failing. It's just not working. In the letter that the city manager prepared, she said that her strategic investment in this budget is preparing the city for growth by investing in employee retention, community safety, and technology. Well, I'm here to tell you, the year is 2025. We do not have one full-time dedicated IT staff person in the city. Not one. 2025, and we don't have an IT person on staff. That's criminal. We're in a digital world. Everything is electronic. People can't even turn their cars on without a computer. Right? 2025. So look, the concept of revenue neutral, it refers to keeping the government revenues flat, even when the tax structure changes. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean that $1 10 years ago is $1 today, because $1 was worth a lot more 10 years ago than it's worth today. In fact, inflation has gone up 47% based on the government Social Security index since 2010. That means $1 in 2010 has the purchasing power of $1.47 today. But how much of our tax has gone up? So I prepared a grid. I took 4 random houses in the city, in each of the 3 districts, random houses, and I said, what did they pay the city of Roanoke Rapids in 2010 versus what did they pay them in 2024 after the big revaluation, right? So the first housing sample, Webb Hill Street, in 2010 paid $464 to the city, in 2024, $516. That's an increase of 11%. But inflation changed 47%, so this person's getting a deal. They're getting a 36% savings over what they paid in 2010. But where does that savings go? That's at the expense of us. That's at the expense of the people in the city. Now, Roanoke Rapids is not a city of majority owner-occupants. Over 50% of the city is renting. So who are we really helping out by keeping these property values and rates low? We're not helping out the people that live here and work here. We're helping out the out-of-town investors. The people in Raleigh who outbid me by $50,000 for a house that had no business being charged what they were charging for it. That's who we're helping out. All the people who own 10, 20, 30 properties. It's not helping you and me. It's not helping our kids. It's not helping our future. Okay. As a fun fact, in 2010, the price of a first-class stamp was 44 cents. Today, it's 73 cents. In July, it's going to be 78 cents. It's a pretty big increase, right? That's not the increase that we've been paying. We haven't had much of an increase at all. In fact, the greatest increase out of these 4 was 20%, and it should have been 47 to match 2010. Revenue neutral means matching what we could have purchased in 2010 with what we could have purchased today. Revenue neutral doesn't mean last year's dollar is worth today's dollar. I'd like you all to look at the next page. During your budget meeting, the Director of Parks and Rec,
Sum it up. You've had just about your 5 minutes. If you could sum it up.
the Director of Parks and Rec prepared this for you. All of the needs for Parks and Rec. The needs for Parks and Rec, these are not capital needs. These are operational needs. Fixing a bathroom needs to be done. Okay, in summation, the last page, and I'm giving it to the media so they'll publish it, is everything the county's charging us for. And the county charges us for a significant amount of things. In fact, we don't collect the entire 64 cents. We're giving them 2 cents collection fee to collect the money for us. They're charging us for 911. $3.5 million we've paid them since 2010 when we didn't have to pay them a penny since then. They're never going to pay that money back. We may not have to pay it moving forward, but we're not getting that $3.5 million back. We're not investing in our parks. The county built a $500,000 park for Scotland Neck. At the last census, Scotland Neck had 50 children under 5. 50. We have 1,000.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, Mr. Brodsky.
Hopefully you all look at that sheet and you figure out how to get the money.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else that would like to speak on the hearing this evening? If there's no one else that wishes to speak, I would declare that public hearing be closed at this time. I would just yield to the city manager or city attorney if any of these questions that have been asked or any of this information that had been asked for could be provided this evening or in summary time.
Yeah, we can respond to this information. I think when we get to the next agenda item,
Okay,
we can do so.
all right. So we closed the public hearing, we'll move on to the next item. Okay, we have the consideration of the budget amendment for the unauthorized substance tax. Call on the finance director, Ms. Johnson.
Good evening. The library received a donation of $509 for the children's program. I would like to request that you approve budget amendment.
Hang on, I
20
think something's out of order on the agenda and
Oh.
the thing. I think library is B is listed on the agenda, whereas
Yeah.
item 8B in your packet is
Yeah.
what we're discussing
Okay.
now.
All right, let me go to the next. Okay.
Yeah, I saw
Sorry.
that, I saw
Okay.
that earlier. No.
Okay.
So we're doing the library donation first?
Well, I would say follow the agenda and
Okay.
let's do it as it is in the agenda,
Okay.
which is consideration of
Substance tax.
unauthorized substance abuse tax, and then we'll come back to the library
Okay.
after that.
Okay. The police department, they received $1,415.84 in unauthorized substance abuse tax. So I'd like for you to approve budget amendment 2025.19.
I'd like to make a motion, Mayor, to adopt budget amendment ordinance 2025.19 in the amount of $1,415.84 for OSC unauthorized substance tax.
Okay, motion by Councilman Jackson and second by Councilman Steinbach. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The motion will be approved.
Okay, now I'm going to go back to the library. They received $509 for a donation for the children's program at the library. I would like for you to approve budget amendment 2025-18.
Okay, do we hear such a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt budget amendment ordinance number 2025.18 in the amount of $509 for the children's program at the library.
Okay. The motion by Councilman Bell and the second by Mayor Pro Tem Bryant. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The amendment will be approved. For the fiscal year 25-26 budget ordinance, I call on the city manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council again. Just wanted to redirect your attention to a revised copy of the budget ordinance was provided to you right before you came here. It looks a little bit different, and I'll go through and explain those changes compared to what was in your packet. But what was in your packet and in review of the fee schedule, I noticed a couple of things that had to be changed. In the planning department section, they were supposed to be $60 instead of $55. So those corrections were made, and then the table is updated under section 1 under anticipated revenues, and then also the authorized expenditures are revised as well. Those are coming from our new system here to reflect those numbers. There's a slight change in that. The total operating budget has decreased just a little bit since we first took a look at this, and that's primarily because we've had a few revenue sources that have decreased a little bit. We had one that increased a little bit, and then there were a couple other expenses that were there. So there's about a $50,000 difference in the as far as total edits. But as far as everything else is concerned in the budget ordinance that's prepared before you, it's number 2025.20, which is to appropriate money for the general fund operating budget for fiscal year 2026. That will begin on July the 1st of 2025. What this kind of does too is break it down where you can see what our general fund operating budget would be, still on the first page of the ordinance document. So we're just under 19 million on our general fund operating, and then with the theater being about $952,000, and so that brings us to a total grand operating budget of 19,836,054, which is about, it's just a little bit less than $8,000 difference from reduced from the advertised budget amount. In our general fund revenues, again, the city does have a struggle with revenue sources. Our tax base is not growing very quickly at all. It's pretty stable, but we're an aging community, and so without as much new development, our property tax values are one thing to look at. In the upcoming year, we will need to really reevaluate our needs based upon the tax values and look at those resources and all, especially the state-directed revenues for any anticipated changes that are going to come that way. But I want to bring to your attention too that the operating expenses, as far as when we get to if you go to the second page of the draft ordinance, absent of the theater payment, based on our current revenues, we would be able to make things happen without theater payment. We'd be able to have a balanced budget without having to use fund balance this year. So the light is at the end of the tunnel as far as that debt is concerned, with the last payment being in 2032. The authorized expenditures by department are broken down as have been included with you for that. This does continue to fund the technology improvements that we are currently still in the process of implementing, and we'll get to using those full term during the upcoming fiscal year. This budget does address a few of the needs, especially in our staffing with recruitment and retention, to incorporate the third-party pay and class study, the option 3, that provides, this option provides for all employees to get at least a 3% cost of living adjustment, where the option 3 with the salary study and implementation of that represents about a 3.54% increase in salary line items altogether. So this is going to go a long way to helping our employees, especially in the times of rising cost of living and other things that they do. They deserve it to be paid competitively and fairly in the market. The budget itself is very conservative as far as our expenditures are concerned, and we do have a lot of needs. We have millions and millions of dollars in physical and structural needs throughout the community. Unfortunately, like the city, we just cannot rely on our regular funding revenue streams to help sustain and pay for the things that we've neglected over years and years of time. A lot of our facilities are outdated. We have a lot of things. These things did not happen overnight, and we're not going to be able to cure them overnight. But I just want to say, too, that we are in the process of developing our very first strategic plan that will be finishing up in the next couple months. And so with that, I feel like as we're going into the upcoming fiscal year, we're going to have a real sense of direction as we go in to prepare the fiscal year 27 budget, and starting that at a much earlier process. Because budgeting isn't just about something that we do once a year, even though it's a big project that we work on especially this time of year, but budgeting occurs by practice every single day, checking our revenues and expenditures. And so some of the things that we do need to look into doing and even consider taking on some financing debt or looking into general obligation bonds and so forth that may require a vote or referendum before the city takes on major debt. But what we're finding is that, and some of this key feedback is coming out of our strategic planning efforts right now, is that what we're finding is that citizens are willing to support increases in taxes if it goes to help improve quality of life facilities and such, especially your parks and rec facilities. People are more willing to consider a short-term increase in taxes to improve your recreation facilities as opposed to a new public safety building or something like that. While they're all equally important, the taxpayers generally, and so that is something that we are looking into as far as that is concerned, and we do need some consultation with our bond counsel. I feel like the vision for our community remains strong, that everyone wants it to be better. Everyone wants things to be better, not just for ourselves right now, but for our future. Because many of the decisions that we do and the things that we do today, we probably won't experience a lot of the benefits, but we're setting forth that course for the future of our community, and we want to see us thrive. But we need to be sustainable and to do things that the city can continue to afford to do, and so forth. The fee schedule, so we have our total expenditures. So without our, I just wanted to mention again, without our theater debt, our total expenditures right now in this budget are $18,883,914. So you add on that $952,140 to bring us to $19,836,054 in the expenditures, with just over $700,000 in fund balance to help pay for one-time non-recurring expenses to help with that budget allocation. The fee schedule is relatively the same from this past year. There's been a slight increase in the trash collection fees to help pay for that, but we try to keep our fees responsible and also affordable for our residents as well. The proposed ordinance also includes other designations in here as well, as far as the city continuing to pay for our retirement plans and so forth, and all of the others that go through in here. Be happy to take any questions that you may have at this time, if we want to take a break here and see where we are.
I have a question under authorized expenditures. In the packet, they don't have a page number on them, but it's like the second page after the 25-26 budget ordinance. Under operating, the second item, general government, the figure is 1.809, $1,809,000. And then when I'm looking at this, I think you had given us tonight when we came in. Is that correct? The ordinance? Is that what you gave us?
Yes, that is.
That figure is $2,708,000. Is that a repositioning of things?
No, it's consolidating some of those lines into those department lines.
That's what I was trying to ask you. Is that consolidating?
Yes, sir.
It's
And
almost $900,000.
yeah, there's no increase in the total amount of expenditures. It's just that those are categorized down into a more limited. And this comes from, the newer version comes from our new finance software system, where in the original version, it was based upon our previous software and uses, and so, but the funds are still there, it's just they're categorized into other departments instead. So like the general government line also includes the theater payment, which is showing what that big increase would be there. Yes, all the math ends up the same.
Do we have anything in any of the information that you have sent out to us that shows how much the increase in salaries along with the retirement and the hospitalization and all that different things, the 401k, how much that increased the budget? Because you all, I think, Ms. Caldwell said that you all would make those decisions. I believe you had some merit opportunity for merit raises also. Has that already been done for this year's budget?
Yes, the current budget includes, or the proposed budget includes the salary study options
Could you
that were
answer that,
included in
Ms.
there.
Caldwell? Just give some idea. Okay.
But it was about $500,000 total.
Does that include the benefits and everything?
The increase.
Kelly's figure was correct. So it's just shy of $500,000 is what the increase would be, and that's all in, so any salary changes plus FICA and other fringe benefits for the retirement would total impact.
Any additional questions?
Yes. Yes, and in the draft budget, in your notebooks, in the expanded version and also what's online is that it shows the departments broken down by those individual line items. So for salaries and overtime and part-time and the other fringe benefits that are associated with that are included.
So just to maybe make that just a little bit clear, that I think it may be getting articulated. Those numbers are clear in the proposed budget as far as those changes, and what it is in the proposed budget, it gets separated out by department. So when you're looking at what is the increase in salaries and those other things, they're in these different sections of expenditures. And so what Ms. Caudill and Ms. Trainum have done is just kind of here in the moment kind of estimated those all of those together. But if you want the actual numbers, you can look. It's broken up by department as far as the increases for the personnel cost. So I guess what I'm saying is there's no mystery about it. You just got to kind of look at it.
Could I give a
Sure.
broken down, like say a simple sandwich type of thing? Under that, you would have, say, under the human resources, you might have, theirs might be line 100, and under you might have .200, which is cost of health benefits. Police department, theirs is 200. It would be .200.200. But then now they consolidated all of them correctly. Yeah, and that's all it is. They just put it together.
Anybody else got any questions? So as I understand it, we can vote to approve the budget tonight, or we can do what?
Yes,
We have to have a special meeting before we have another meeting to do it on
the
that.
budget needs to be approved prior to July the 1st.
July 1st.
Yes, so June 30th is the very last day, and a special meeting would have to be advertised properly in order to adopt the budget ordinance. The budget ordinance, that 2025.20 that's before you tonight, does provide the summary of the accomplishments that are set forth in the draft budget. So if it's the pleasure of the council to vote on it tonight, you may. We have, you're welcome to do that. Or if you feel like you want to schedule a special meeting to consider adoption, then we need to go ahead and identify the date and time sooner than later.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the council? Even if we do vote on it tonight, or you all vote on it, and we approve it, I still think that for my own benefit, there's some things like Mr. Bell said he'd like a little more details on the different areas where the dollars are being spent, just have it broken down, so we will have more knowledge of the budget. And I don't think that's going to make a whole lot of difference in whether we approve it tonight or a week from now, but
Excuse me, no, I was just trying to explain why the software consolidated, that is a generic designator under each department for certain things, as I said, like personnel. When you look at personnel, what is police department, what is human resources, where is fire department, that line item, it would be like .200, and even if the first number is 200 for police, 100 for the human resources section, you would see .200 would always be personnel, and that's why it consolidates that. That's a very generic governmental type software
Right.
program.
And your full budget with the expanded lines is included in your budget notebook that was provided.
So,
And it's been posted, so all the line items are broken out on there that have been available for viewing online since June the 3rd.
so with this budget, you've got plenty of funds to take care of.
To take care of, well,
Budget. You don't need a tax increase.
well, we need more funds, but right now, I think that a tax increase is not something that we're prepared to take on. I mean, unless it is the pleasure of the council to increase that. We need additional revenues, but the budget itself has been prepared using the current tax rate. But we always are going to need more revenues than what we have available.
but you're
It's-
taking $750,000 out of your fund balance to meet the budget.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. As proposed, the budget is balanced, but it's balanced by function of the $748,000 from the fund balance. That's the reason I don't read numbers out. But just to be clear on that, it is a balanced budget. We're required to do that by June 30th in North Carolina, but the way that it's getting there this year is using that.
I realize that we need to be careful because Roanoke Rapids has a median tax rate of 1.78%, which is among the highest. The national average is 1.02. And while necessary for funding essential services, I realize tax increases can negatively affect residents' finances and contribute to housing affordability challenges. It is important for policymakers to consider policies that balance the need for revenue with the desire to support affordable housing and economic stability. Can we get that out of this budget?
This budget is incremental to get us, we're going to slowly get where we can be, but we definitely need to look at, in our strategic planning efforts and in our budgeting for the upcoming year, but we're only going to be able to do, we only can do as much as what we can afford to do in the budget. It's going to be very minimal things. I think that the statement that you're asking me to agree with, I think, is an aspirational statement that, we all want to hope to, but again, it's going to be a tight budget, but again, our revenues are pretty limited right now.
What would be the balance of our fund balance if we go with this budget
The-
and with the deduction that's being requested?
We have about $3.5 million that is fully flexible in our discretionary spending. That does not include the 2 million for, proceeds. So we have the ability to do that. Absent using any fund balance, we're gonna have to cut some major services or department, based upon those figures. Oh, but the total fund balance, but as far as the available fund balance, we've got about 3.5 million available, for discretionary spending that's not restricted.
And so there's more in the fund balance, but what can be spent on discretionary matters is about 3 million. There's more there for if there's a hurricane that comes through and floods the town, if there's some other kind of emergency that is where that's required. There's more that we can't spend that is sitting there in savings in case we need it.
Okay, and that's in addition to the 2 million that is designated for the theater debt, right? Okay.
Next, we have, I look to there's about 14, I guess there's $1 million in the $14 million in fund balance. And so, but about 3.5 million of that is truly available for discretionary spending.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, are we gonna vote tonight, or are we not gonna vote, or what are we gonna do tonight? I'll call for a motion to accept the budget as it is, or... if we
I
don't
make a
get-
motion to accept the budget as is because of the date that we're at right now.
Okay, Mr. Bell's made a motion, accept the budget as is. Do we hear a second to his motion? I would call one more time for a second. If not, the motion would die for lack of a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Mr. Jackson. Is there any more discussion on the matter? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Did everybody vote? Okay. Motion will be approved. It was unanimous. That's, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear all of y'all. Okay, motion will be approved. The next item is the city manager's report.
I don't have a bullet point list for you here tonight, so I will just want to take a minute to say thank you to our department heads and staff and for all their hard work on our budget and the day in and day out needs of budgeting and being mindful of our spending and so forth. It's been a month since our area was impacted by a surprise and sudden storm, and so many of us are still, many have not slowed down since then, and so we are seem to be having a lot of rain right now, which is also impacting our ability to get out and continue to cut grass and do some of those other needs. But next week, at Ledgerwood, we'll host the baseball tournament towards the end of next week there. We'll have a lot of visitors in town for that, taking a lot of effort from our Parks and Rec staff to get the fields ready. The rain hasn't helped, but we do look forward to hosting the baseball tournament and bringing in visitors from out of town for the few days to cheer on their youth baseball players. Subject to any questions that you may have, I'll defer my remainder of my report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your report, and Finance Director on Finance Report.
Good evening again. So for the month of May, we had total year-to-date receipts of around 18 million and year-to-date expenditures around 17 million. Revenues exceeded expenditures by around $1 million. We received, ad valorem, prior year ad valorem, but as of the end of May, we still have May and June ad valorem to receive. We still have May and June motor vehicle tax to receive. We still have April through June sales and use tax to receive. Hold harmless April through June, and then the last quarter of our utility franchise tax. And of course, our residential and commercial solid waste fees. So, and as of June the 16th, we received the month April sales and use tax payment, and that was around $471,000. And we also received our third quarter utility sales tax distribution, and that was around $454,000. So, do you have any questions?
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Is there anything else needs to come before the council tonight? If not, I call for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. We stand adjourned.